welcome back to my channel. My name is GenesisWells, for those of you that don't know. And today we are talking about something that's very personal to me, and it can be personal to other people out there. That topic today is my adoption story. Okay, yes. The reason I wanted to make this video was not only to encourage and empower other people who have been in this position to speak up and show them that it's okay to speak their truth, but it goes for anybody. I feel like everybody has a story, and what empowers you is when you're able to give your story as vulnerable and as truthful from your point of view as possible, okay? So if you've been adopted, or if you're looking into adoptions, or if you've just been through anything that had a big impact on your life, I encourage you to put it out there, whether it's in art, music, speaking up, sports, dance, whatever that is, okay? So hopefully what I say today touches and encourages and blesses somebody out there, okay? So growing up, I grew up with my biological grandparents. Growing up, I really had a blessed life, which is something I'm very thankful to God to be able to say. I had a very beautiful life. I was able to participate in many activities. My grandmother or mother, made sure I was very involved in a lot of activities. So I can't say that I had a hard childhood. We all have things that we go through in childhood that, we wish could be better. But as for like the bigger picture, I didn't have a hard childhood. Really, it was kind of like weird to me, because like I felt like my parents' ways of thinking were a little outdated, but they're my grandparents now, so it makes sense. I never had an inkling that my grandmother and my grandfather weren't my mother and father, because they just raised me in such love and beautiful, kind, nurturing energy. They did the best that they could. My grandfather was a Vietnam vet. He, did everything he could to provide for us. He couldn't have kids of his own. And my grandmother, she had two other children, my aunt and my biological mother. She had a very, tough life. She went through a lot, and she ended up, getting her degrees and making something beautiful out of herself. So I'm very, very proud to have been raised by such, powerful and strong, enlightened people. So let's just get that out there. So we're going to fast forward to the time I found out that my grandparents weren't my biological parents. So I was at church, and I was sitting with what is now known to me as my biological father's family. We still haven't gotten like a solid blood test to be able to confirm if he's my father or not. So, we're just gonna say could be. So I was sitting with his family in the back of the church, and a usher came to me, and she was like, "Do you know that Frida and Gregory are not your parents?" And I was just like,
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. First of all, you're not going to speed past that like you didn't just say what you just said.
So me, as like an 8-year-old little girl in church, I was so like taken aback from the information that had just been presented to me. So I immediately rushed to find my mother, my grandmother, so mom. I rushed to find her, and I pulled her to the side. I'm crying. She's like, "What's going on with you?" I'm like, "Are you know that such and such told me that you're my grandma and Greg is my grandfather?" And I could just see the life from my mother's eyes just like drain. Like I saw the rage, I saw the hurt, I saw the pain. I just saw her go through so many emotions. But I was also feeling so many emotions. So we was just emotional in that church that day. So from what I can remember, the family that used to come to the church that I would sit with, my biological fathers, they stopped coming. My mother, she sat me down that day with my father and explained to me that, my biological father, had not been around, and, they didn't have a definite answer of who that could be. And that my biological mother, she had went to jail when she was, younger, just making, just choices. And, instead of the state taking me, my grandfather and my grandmother decided to adopt me legally and raise me as their own. So, hearing all of this information, I'm going to get emotional. Hearing all of this information, it really was a big pill to swallow, because number one, how I found out as a child was very, very, I feel like that was very traumatic for me. It really hurt my feelings that I didn't know the truth. I see now, where it was for my protection, but at the time, it really did really hurt my feelings. So, moving forward, I found this information out, and I'm, still with my grandmother and my grandfather, mom and dad. So I will say it got a little tense in the home, because at this point in my life, my biological mother had come back around. I would go spend time with her on the weekends. And in a child's mind, I couldn't understand why I'm still with, this family when you're my family. I didn't understand why I couldn't go live with her. So, that really caused strife between my grandmother and grandfather, between me and them, because I was just angry at this point. I'm just like, either y'all are holding me hostage, y'all are trying to kidnap me, or she really just don't want me, But that was like emotions that I suppressed as I moved along through life. It was something at the back of my head that I really, I really sat on, but I didn't, burst yet, because again, I'm a child. I was just happy to be around my mother at this point. So moving forward, at this point, I'm, in my preteen era, living, going through my emotions, as any preteen does with her attitude and things like that. So, I do remember getting a little bit more feisty with my, grandmother and grandfather. I remember saying you're not even my mom, you're not even my dad. Just getting into bicker arguments, over things. And I'm just like, when I disapproved of anything that they chose over my life, or if I disapproved of a decision, I would use that, and I'm just spitting out anger, spitting out hurt, spitting out pain as a child. And it's coming out very harsh. So my biological mother eventually, got pregnant again, and she had my twin little sisters. I love them with all my heart. And, I was super excited to be a big sister. I was super excited to have other kids around me, because this whole time, I'm 11 years old now, I've been the only child. So I was super excited to grow this relationship with them. But again, at this point in my life, I'm still very, very hurt, because I'm like, you can raise other kids, but you can't take me? The audacity, That's how it was in my head. So, just growing up, I played with my little sisters. We grew together. My mother ended up moving back in with her mother, which is my grandmother, my mom. So we were all living together, my little sisters, my grandfather and father. So we did have time to grow and connect. But at this point, I'm a preteen, and now I'm spitting anger at my mother, and I was just spitting out anger at a lot of people. So, I do regret now how I handled them. But again, I was a child. Behind a mask is just a real raw emotion. And behind my emotion was nothing but pain and anger. And it just masked itself as a mean girl. We're going to say that. A little brat. I'm going to say that, okay? So I eventually just, they eventually moved out, got their own place. And, I just went through life. I grew up, graduated high school, went into the military, and just grew a relationship with my mother and my little sisters from there. So today now, my grandmother is still alive and healthy, well, flourishing. She has a grief support group, as well as her grief light certificate. My father, he did pass 3 years ago. And I've been just doing a lot of healing from my childhood. So I do want to say how, that experience affected me. I will say, number one, again, coming back to how I found out, that planted a seed of trust issues and anger, deep anger in me, because I just couldn't understand why, I couldn't understand the why, and nobody was really taking the time to explain the why. So if you've been through this situation before, just know that everybody has a decision to make. Everybody plays a part in the situation. You don't know the other person's story, and they don't know how you're feeling. So sometimes, and again, I was very blessed in my situation. Some people are in horrible situations, So always look at the big picture. Always look, at least try to look at the bigger picture, from somebody who has been through it. There is another side to the story. There is another way that the life could have gone. So just be thankful. I've always learned to just be thankful in your experience where you are now. Okay, be thankful and just know that it can change. It can always change. So yes, it did plant a seed of trust issues. I will say abandonment issues, because I was very scared to be vulnerable. I held on to certain relationships, thinking that, if I loved super hard, if I gave my all, that person would, in the end not leave me, because I didn't want to be left anymore. Which I learned now, you are always worthy. The right people will connect with you. You do not have to pour yourself empty to receive from sources like that. Like, especially like any young girl, young boy out there, anybody, grown up, whatever, you are always enough. Love yourself. You do not have to empty yourself. You don't have to meet people at their needs, at the bottom level. You don't have to just change who you are to be accepted. You are always going to be accepted who you are. Just be you, okay? And I will also say that it planted a seed of just overall like scared to be myself. I felt like I had to people please in order to keep people around me. So I was always like I would cater to the person that I am, in relationship with, whether that was platonic friendship, relationship, anything. I was a people pleaser. And again, that stemmed back to me wanting to be accepted and loved. So, I have since healed these issues, and I am still continuing to heal these issues. And this is a journey that I will spread on my channel as I move along. But, for anybody out there that's been through this experience, or, you've been through anything traumatic, just know that it does get better. Okay. I believe in you, and you believe in you. Okay. It does hurt. Like, it can hurt. So just be gentle with yourself, and be vulnerable with your emotions with the right people, and it will all work out. So that was really my journey, my adoption experience, how I learned I was adopted. It wasn't super deep as others can be, like others. So if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to give me a like. You can also comment, share, subscribe. These are my other platforms that I also post on, that I share my experience and, healing tips, my journey, my story. Again, this is the Genesis Show, and buckle up, okay? But I hope today something that I said really helped you, or just opened your eyes even to the adoption experience altogether from somebody who's been through it. So again, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here for me to give my story and share my experience. And I hope to see you in my next video. Okay, bye.